Pad Thai is one of my favorite dishes, and yet every time I try to make it, it sucked. Until, that is, I went to Thailand and joined a cooking class from the Thai Akha Cooking School in Chiang Mai, where they showed me a really simple recipe I want to share with you today. Now, this is not a recipe from a wok master. This is a recipe from someone who struggled with the recipe because I want you to learn from my mistakes. So I'm going to jump straight into the recipe, and then at the end of the video, I'll give you 5 tips on how to avoid the mistakes I made. So let's get cooking. For Pad Thai, you'll want to use flat rice noodles. I like 5mm noodles. Start by soaking the noodles for about 20 minutes in room temperature water using about 80 grams of noodles per portion. Start by roasting some peanuts in a pan and then chopping or crushing them. You can also save some time by buying some roasted peanuts, just make sure they are unsalted. Now peel and chop the garlic and the shallots. I like using about 2 garlic cloves and 1 shallot per person since they bring so much flavor to the dish. Next, chop the tofu in small cubes, then wash and cut the garlic chives into 1-inch pieces. Now wash the bean sprouts and set them aside. I use 1 egg per person and I'm cooking for 2, so I'll crack 2 in a bowl right now. Finally, I'm gonna mix my sauce and leave all the sauces out near the wok for seasoning later. Pad Thai traditionally uses fish sauce, but we used a mixture of soy sauce and fish sauce in Thailand, and I like that even more. Finally, I got some chili flakes, some lime wedges, and my peanuts on the side for plating. Now that everything's ready, set the wok on medium heat, and while that heats, give the kitchen a quick clean. Drain the noodles and rinse them well. The rice noodle water really does not taste good. Now that everything is ready, it only takes about 5 minutes to make Pad Thai. Once the wok starts to smoke, add a tablespoon of oil, swirl it, and throw the tofu in. Give it a quick fry, then throw in the shallots and the garlic. After about a minute or 2, push the tofu to the side, add another tablespoon of oil to the wok, and let it heat up again. Once it starts to smoke again, throw in your eggs and give them a good scramble. Now push everything up the side of the wok and add the noodles. Now add a small splash of water and your sauce mix. Once the water is absorbed and you start seeing the noodles getting glossy, mix everything in, take the wok off the heat and taste the noodles. If they're still too hard, you can put the wok back on the heat and add another small splash of water. Your biggest danger at this point is overcooking them, so just give it a little bit of time. Once you're happy with the doneness, add the chives and the soy sprouts. Mix everything together and give it a taste. Now you can season with fish sauce or soy sauce if you want more salty, palm sugar if you want more sweet, and tamarind if you want more sour. Once you're happy with the seasoning, plate the noodles. Garnish the Pad Thai with peanuts, lime, chili flakes, and a few more soy sprouts. And look at this dish. I can tell you it smells and it tastes amazing. But before you make it, here are my top 5 mistakes to avoid. Number 1, keep it simple. I've noticed I do this thing where if I'm not familiar with a dish, I tend to overcomplicate it in my head. Pad Thai is really not a complicated dish. It was invented when Thailand was suffering a rice shortage during the Second World War, and like so many recipes that were created in tough times, Pad Thai is meant to be simple, so keep it simple. Tip number 2, buy the firmest tofu you can find. For Pad Thai, you'll need firm tofu, often called pressed tofu. This has a nice and chewy texture and it won't break apart in the wok, so it is perfect for stir fries. What's confusing is that silken tofu is sometimes sold as extra firm, which is still way too soft as you can see right here, so just avoid anything with the word silken on it. Tip number 3, buy tamarind sauce, not tamarind concentrate. Tamarind sauce will give you better color and flavor than the concentrate. I used to make it with concentrate and I would get these black flecks all over and a not so great flavor, so if you can find tamarind sauce, stick to that. Otherwise, you can always buy actual tamarind and make your own paste. Tip number 4, don't overcrowd the wok. I find that Pad Thai works best when making 1 or 2 portions. Any more than that and you tend to overcook the noodles, so just keep it small. Finally, tip number 5, don't overheat the wok. So I always had this image of this huge flame under a wok burning all the time. This led to me burning or drying out the noodles so many times. I recommend sticking to medium-high heat, and also don't be afraid to take the wok off the heat when you need a breather or just want to do some tasting. Trying to make Pad Thai at home the same way that street cooks do it in Thailand is kind of like seeing an Olympian on TV and setting that as the standard. And now to you. Do you have any tips on Pad Thai? What do you think about this recipe? Let me know in the comments below so that I can learn more, you can learn more, and that, after all, is the point of this whole channel. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.